If you've been following along, we're going for how much did this van cost me. Today we're going to be looking at the plumbing, which obviously I'm standing by some taps, relatively cheap taps. I can't really remember how much they were, but these are literally just outdoor garden taps on some copper piping. Nice and simple. It's how we like it. This is the shower. Obviously it does work inside as well. We've got an outside shower and an indoor shower. Just by opening this door, you can also gain access in through the side. So if you come off the beach and you're all covered in sand and salt, you can wash yourself off before you go in. We've got just an ordinary little trigger spray head. You pull the trigger, there you go. Oh, dripped in the face. You got the tap there, ordinary shower mixer tap, hot and cold. Comes from the other side of the van. Go through that. This is the immersion heater. It sits on the outside. Here's a little exhaust vent, and then you can open that up. There's a little lock on there. I think that was about £700 from Jackson Leisure. They're a big caravan and camping supplies company. It's also the place that I got the water tank from. That's probably another £80, I want to say, off the top of my head. There's a water pump on the back of this. It's not included with it. It's encased onto the back, out of the way of debris and any sort of stuff that might get caught in it. I think that's another £100 for the one that I got. And in here, this was where the tailgate mechanism was. But when I dropped the tailgate off, there was just this big hole. There wasn't any of this, so I've had to build this to be able to have it there. I've turned it into storage for 3 25 litres barrels. So I'm able to carry 75 litres of water, or I could swap one for extra diesel, I could swap one for a small generator, and it just gives me more options to carry things. But that is pretty much to the back of the cupboard. It's got some level of insulation in there, just to try and stop the valves from freezing at the first sign of any sub-zero temperatures. And this is where I fill the water tank from. There is another fill up on the step for the shower door on the other side, because I actually split this hose because it was rubbing on something. I've since repaired this, and while I had it all out, I just figured I'd tee off and go for another, like a spare fill up essentially. But overall, I actually end up using the spare fill up rather than this one because of where I park it on the driveway. That side's more accessible, and this side's right up tight against the wall, so it's just easier to fill from that one. Unlike a lot of other self-built campers, I do actually carry a waste tank. It's just in there. I'm going to plate this off at some point, but just in there are 2 25 litre barrels that have been clamped up together, and tank connectors put in through the lids, and then I've just made out of copper pipe and a bit of tap, just a way to drain it. So I empty it into a bucket and then put it down either a toilet or a drain, whatever's suitable at the time. So making sure that it is legal and safe to do where I am dropping it. All of this here is my fresh water tank. The feed for it goes up here, and then it splits and goes off that direction into that box, which is where the water pump is. So then it's dispersed around the various faucets inside. It also splits here on the other side and comes to there, and this is the back of the step that's in the shower. So this is my secondary fill. So I've got one this side and one that side. It does need like a little bit tighter there, but it holds itself in for now. There is also three layers of the metallic bubble wrap insulation around that, and then inside the, not inside the tank, but on the outside of the tank, in between all of the insulation, there is a heat pad which has a thermostat in it, so that when it gets to below freezing, it turns in and very, very slightly warms the water. The waste tanks, however, don't have any insulation on them, because if they freeze, they don't really matter. But if this freezes, then I'll have no water inside. Overall, I think all of the plumbing came to around about £1,000. So, a pretty cheap part of the build, to be honest, considering the amount of stuff that I've had to put in. Whereas the electricals, there was a lot of stuff that was already in here, which I've reused. But the plumbing, I've had to essentially start from scratch. So we've got the water tank, we've got the heater, we've got the drainage in the shower, which is really quite simple. There's another video of that, I believe, earlier on in my YouTube. We've got the shower and the shower tap. We've got these taps here, which, like I said earlier, just ordinary outside taps. I've tried to keep it kind of simple. And that, I absolutely love how that looks. I don't think I covered the cost of the fridge in the previous video, because I didn't really know where to place it. The fridge was about £600, and as we're in the kitchen area, because we're doing the plumbing, we're in the kitchen and the shower, essentially. £600 for this beast of a fridge. It's a Dometic 85 litre, and you probably won't find one with a black front and silver surround, because I've wrapped this the same as I've wrapped my cupboards, because they were originally white and I didn't really like that. I think that pretty much covers the majority of the larger bulk of the budget, but there are still some things left to cover. So all like the little fixings, the coverings, all like the little fiddly biddly bits that you know how one coffee that you buy from a shop doesn't really add up, but then through the year you add it all up and Jesus Christ, you figure out that you spend a hell of a lot. It's those sorts of things, like the little things that cost a couple of quid each, a couple of quid here, a fiver there, a couple of quid here. There's a hell of a lot of those sorts of things in here. So if anybody is planning to build a van or anything like that, make sure that you do allow for just random odds and sods that you don't even think of.